Hi, I'm Doug McKnight. I'm originally from Pennsylvania. I spent the last few years in Texas learning a lot about bass fishing, and it's a real thrill to be on the same tape as Jimmy Nix, one of the pioneers in bass fishing and bass fly tying, and I'd like to share one of my patterns with you. It's called a KS slider. The hook that we're going to use today for this fly is a Tiemco 8089. Okay, now I'm going to take my saddle hackles and put it right on top of the hook shank, just like this. And with my left hand, I'm just going to pinch it right where I want to. And it's important to incorporate a lot of this marabou-like type stuff. A lot of people might trim that off and just kind of use this part. But that nice the widest part of the saddle hackle is real. You want to incorporate that into this fly. Just take my left hand, pinch it, make a loose wrap all the way around. Okay, now we got the rear part of the fly tied in. We're going to take our crystal flash and just lay it right over the top, tie that in right on top. What we're going to do is just put a drop of Zap-A-Gap on there. My favorite part of the fly next is the deer hair. And we want to keep our white deer hair kind of on the bottom of the hook. And I'm going to take one bunch of white deer hair, kind of hold it just like that, take this thread, go all the way around the hook, and then follow it up with a couple of nice tight wraps. And the whole time with my left hand, I'm holding that deer hair where I want to. I don't want that deer hair to spread all the way around the shank of the hook. And just kind of repeat the process on this side. You can see some of my white deer hair is kind of migrated up to the top. If you just take it, just kind of push it to the side a little bit. Now we're going to go to the olive deer hair. We're going to tie that in right on top. And with my left hand, I'm just going to hold on to that deer hair. Kind of wiggle my thread up through that white hair. A couple of good tight wraps of thread. And I got the beginnings of my olive back. Okay. Now with your right hand, just take your thumb and your forefinger and just kind of push everything back. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the white hair with this olive, because I'm going to put a little spot of chartreuse right there. So you just kind of spread it out. Take my chartreuse, couple of wraps of thread. Okay, now what I'm going to do is just with my left hand try and find that spot where we super glued earlier and just kind of hold that and steady that spot. And with my right hand, I'm just going to push straight back with that hair and really press it back. And what I'm going to do is bring my thread straight up towards the eye like that and wrap. Just try and get your thread right back up against that hair. Now from here on out, it's just kind of a repeating process of what we just did. This is our last bunch of hair that we're going to be tying in. We're plenty close to the eye of the hook and don't want to crowd it. Alright, now we're ready for the trimming. You just kind of square off this fly a little bit. Cut the sides first. Flip it over, do the other side. Almost fish head type shape. Alright, that's pretty good. Let me trim that belly a little bit more so we don't block that gap of the hook. Now we're ready to put on our eyes. Make a nice little socket like this. The eyes won't have the tendency to fall off as much. And what we're going to do is just put a drop of super glue right in that socket, eye, and just slip it right in there. And just press it in there, and you can actually kind of press the deer hair up against that eye, and some of that glue will kind of migrate around the eyeball, and some of that deer hair will stick to the side of the eye. This is a great surface fly for largemouth and smallmouth and pretty much anything that likes to eat other fish. One of the best ways to fish this is a real slow retrieve. If you're in any kind of current situation, just let it swing in the current nice and slow, and those fish will use that lateral line and feel this fly moving through the water, and give it a shot, tie some up, and go out and get them wet.